It is time for my annual Q&A. Even though I haven't made a video in a while, but here's to coming back stronger than ever. That's a weird way to open a video, I'm sorry. Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie and today I'm going to be doing my annual YouTube video making anniversary Q&A. I do one of these every single year. This is year 4, if you can believe it. I've literally been making YouTube videos for 4 years. What the fuck? Now we're back. Today we're gonna be drinking not alcohol. This is a black cherry cane sugar soda. Also, shoulder reveal. I don't think I've ever shown my shoulders on my channel before. It's 85 degrees out and I'm not dealing with sleeves today. The reason I'm not drinking this year is because I don't want to. I don't feel like it. I haven't really had much alcohol recently, not for any particular reason, except for I have medications where it is advised not to drink alcohol while on those medications. So I decided that I'm gonna do a dry Q&A. We are out of Coke, which is distressing to me, but I found this soda in the back of our fridge. Is it expired? Does soda even expire? Those are questions I don't have answers to, but I do have answers to you guys' questions that you asked me over on Instagram and in my community tab. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions. As I do with every year, they are kept anonymous. This will be my kind of return video. I don't wanna make any promises. I do have my new hair. It's much shorter than it was last time you saw me, and it's also layered and fluffy, and I'm obsessed, so apologies if I just like flip it around a whole bunch during the filming of this video. Okay, enough waffle, let's get into the questions. So we have 3 categories this year. We have writing, personal, and funny questions. Obviously, the biggest one is obviously writing. This is a writing channel. I am a writer. Let's just dive into our writing questions. First question is, how did you deal with the call when you were in the process of signing with your agent? This part of the process seems both so intimidating and thrilling. My biggest advice is to kind of like take a deep breath, to breathe, to relax for a second, because this is a really exciting moment. If my preparation for the call was extensive. I really did not know what to expect from my first call, which was more of a revise and resubmit than it was a like true offer call, but I still prepared for it because I wanted to know what I was going into, what I was gonna get. The way my call worked, I've only had 1 call, but the way that my call worked was, you know, I got in there, said hi, my agent gave me their background, gave me their editorial style, kind of talked through what they loved about the book, why they wanted to represent me, and then also talked to me about edits and stuff, and basically, you know, asked me some questions about the book and the edits that could potentially be there, and if I was willing to do them. My edits were essentially just gender bending and changing the beginning of the book a little bit, so that was what I really had to do. How I prepared for it though, there's a lot of videos over on YouTube about this. I think I kind of talked about this in my How I Got My Agent video, but I also used Lindsay Puckett. She is one of my favorite author tubers and one of my favorite people ever. Her agent videos are very helpful, and I wrote down all the questions that I thought I would want to ask, things that I wanted to know about the agent before going in, basically. There's a literary agency that does videos here on YouTube. I think it's Bookends Literary. I'll leave a link to them down below, but they basically have answered all of your questions when it comes to agents, what to expect, how to do a query letter, all of those kinds of things that I think really just give a view of what it's actually like to be on the call. And I guess my biggest advice is like, it's really thrilling, it's really fun, soak that up. And even though it is intimidating, and I know everyone says this and it's hard to like intellectually get this, like it's hard for even me to intellectually understand this, is agent is trying to sell themselves to you because they already want you. They want you as a client if they're offering you a call. And so be yourself, be who you are, you know. And if you don't click with that agent, or that agent doesn't click with you and they don't like who you are because you're being yourself, like it clearly isn't gonna work in the long run. So why fake it, you know? I feel like you'll know when you meet the right agent, and that agent really does feel like they are going to be your partner when it comes to doing everything publishing, when it comes to writing. They love writing as much as you do, and you know, they might be industry professionals, and it is important to be professional and to, you know, not be crazy on the call, but it is important to be yourself when you're on the call. And I think those are my biggest tips. Again, I will leave links to what I used when I was getting ready. This is what I did, but I sent a document to my friends, a Google Doc of all of the questions that I was going to ask. And then when I went into the call, I could write notes about each of the questions that I asked, or things. I can write notes about everything that happened in the call. And I actually let my friends be in on like the document part of the call. In my second call actually was like, remember to ask about X, Y, and Z, because I had forgotten to ask about that because I hadn't written down any notes on it. And so that was helpful. So if you have friends that you trust that know your story, that know you, I would recommend maybe doing that. Obviously they can't be on the call with you. I hope that was helpful. I did not prepare any of these answers in advance. If your main characters were dogs, what breed would they be? So I'm thinking about for Cruel Summer, right? So Cruel Summer is the book that is with editors. And so that is the book that got me an agent. That is the book that is out there that hopefully you guys will want to read. I think Jules might be a Chihuahua, which sounds derogatory. It might be a little bit. Either a Chihuahua or like an Australian Shepherd, because she's like super stubborn, but she's also like really family oriented. And she is a little bit of a snapper at people. I think for Luca, like part of me wants to say she'd be a Saint Bernard because Saint Bernards are so sweet, but she's not lazy like a Saint Bernard. Like Saint Bernards are notoriously very lazy. I've had 2 in my life and they've both been the laziest dogs ever. But I think Luca has like the sweet, kind, innocent personality kind of vibe going on. But she is really hardworking, which is why I would say Jules is maybe an Australian Shepherd because she's super hardworking. I think that's my answers. Like just metaphorically, personality wise, not necessarily like work ethic. I think a Chihuahua and a Saint Bernard. That's my truth, and I'm speaking it. Our next question is, how do you coax yourself to write even when you don't feel like it? This one's a little tougher for me to answer because I pretty much always want to write. I know there's something wrong with me mental health wise if I don't want to write, so it's a little bit harder for me to come up with something like this. But there is times when I don't feel like writing the book that I'm currently writing, or you know, the book that I'm currently writing isn't sparking joy anymore, but I still have to push through because of discipline. I think my biggest tip, and everyone gives this tip, but it really does work, is sit down and set a timer for 5 minutes and just write for 5 minutes. And if after 5 minutes you're still not feeling it, give yourself permission to move to something else, or to go do something else, or to, you know, watch a YouTube video, or just veg for the day, because it is possible. And it is more than likely that sometimes when you don't want to write, it means you're burnt out, or you don't want to write because you've been doing it a lot. If after 5 minutes you're like, oh, this is fine, like I can write for another 15 or 20 or 30 or another 5 minutes, like doing that usually will help you understand if it's just like this roadblock of like sitting down and actually physically doing the typing, you know, or is it actually you don't want to write because it's not, you're just not like feeling it, like you really are struggling. My other suggestion, if you're not feeling like writing, is to jump on a live stream. There are people streaming all the time. Personally, it's between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. You can find the Troublemakers streaming. That's where I have been. That's where we are every Wednesday from those times. Can't guarantee we'll have a lot of sprints, but we will have some sprints. You know, I think just finding sprints and finding other people who are working, just having accountability, finding someone to hold you accountable to, making like a writing experiment out of it, ways like that I think will really help to coax you into writing. Also, you know, make yourself a routine, kind of Pavlov yourself into it. Maybe you always have the same snack when you write, maybe you always have the same drink when you write. Let yourself write on your phone, or on a Google Doc, or you know, on a scrap of paper, like maybe try handwriting, or you know, writing in bed. I think just switching up the things that were working before and aren't working anymore is a great tool to coaxing yourself to write, because it's a new environment, it's a new thing, it's a new different thing. It doesn't have to be perfect if it's on like a Google Doc, or like maybe you write a note on your phone and you just write there, and then you for 5 minutes, and then you know, maybe then you feel like writing on your computer. There's no right or wrong way to write a novel, and you don't have to write the same novel the same way the entire time, as well as you don't have to write every novel the same. And those are some of the things that maybe you could do if you were struggling with writing. So our next question is there a project you would love to write but know you'll never get to? I never say never on projects, because you never know what could happen, what, you know, people will want to see, what people will, you know, pay for, what you'll decide. You know, you could always come back to it. But I think the project that I would love to write but no, I'll pretty much never get to, is I think writing another draft of The Wrath King. And I don't know if this counts because I've already written 4 different drafts of The Wrath King, like I can't even remember. But there is, like, I do have to go back to that draft, and I do have to do a lot of work on it, and that's really daunting. And basically it's been put up on the shelf for an indefinite period of time. It's pretty much on permanent hiatus. I don't know if I'll ever come back to that book, because I just have so many other things that I think I prefer to write. And to be honest, I think at this stage I might just cannibalize all the things I love about The Wrath King and put them in new books, because that book, while I really appreciate it, it taught me a lot. It, you know, taught me how to edit, it taught me how to take critique, it taught me how to take feedback, it taught me how to rewrite, it taught me how to query. I queried that book and it wasn't successful, but you know, if I hadn't worked on those books, if I hadn't done all the work on The Wrath King, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I don't think I will ever come back to it, but again, never say never. It's a woman's prerogative to change her mind, so it could happen in the future. But I think for now, there's just so many other new projects that I'd prefer to pursue that I can use my techniques to build it from the ground up and not have the issues that I had with my first book, which is The Wrath King. Our next question is, has there been a project you regretted writing? And to be honest, I think the answer is no. I am kind of the opinion that every story is different. Every story requires different things. Every story teaches you something. And so I really don't think there's anything that I could say that I regret writing. I think if I've written anything problematic, maybe I'd regret writing that, but I can't think of anything specific specific that I've done, to be honest. I'm like really racking my brain. Like, do I, like, I don't even, like, even some of like the old stupid stories that I like roast on here with like my first and last line video that I did, which I love that video. Go back and watch them. They're hilarious. If I do say so myself. Even those stories that are stupid and silly, like, I don't regret writing them because they inform who I am. They were the beginning, they were the beginning foundation of my love of writing, of my, you know, beginning of loving craft, of my discovery that I wanted to be a writer. And those early stories are really pivotal in that. And if I didn't have them, I don't know where I'd be today. I probably wouldn't have an agent. I don't think I regret any of them. I really can't think of one that I do regret because, you know, everything teaches you something. And, you know, I look back on those books fondly, on those stories fondly, because they are, at their core, they were me. They're at the beginning of me. And so I appreciate them for what they are. Our next question is, any tips for juggling multiple writing projects at once? Especially interested in how you manage to keep so many projects on the back burner brainstorming list and actually still make progress on idea generating for them rather than forgetting they exist until you finish your main project. Now that's a big question. We're going to break it up into a couple of things. I don't know if I have any tips for juggling multiple projects. I'm pretty bad at juggling multiple projects. My brain tends to get consumed in one thing and I have to write that and I can't really work on anything else. So it's going to be interesting to see. I definitely can't draft two things at once. Like, I can't actively draft two books at once. But since this person is especially interested in how I manage to keep so many projects on the back burner brainstorming list and actually still make progress on idea generating for them rather than forgetting they exist until you finish your main project. It's tough. I won't lie to you. There is definitely projects kind of wane and ebb and flow. They're very much, you know, like the tides or the moon or something. Like, they come and go. I have inspirations for them. I think what helps me the most is honestly talking about them. There's a lot of, actually probably too many, Instagram posts that I've made for stories, and those really help me focus in on like the shape of them. Coming back to the, I mean, since I just said it, the shape of books, I think each one kind of has a unique vibe to it, and I have a unique thought of what is going to be encompassed in the book. And so that's how I kind of know that a book is kind of blossoming, is if there is these roots that it has and it starts to like sprout up and there is, you know, a shape to it. You know, like every flower, every tree leaf is different. They all have different, essentially different shapes. I should be a writer. How many times have I shed shapes? Yeah, so they ebb and flow. You know, I'm not an endless idea making machine. I don't think I may have as many ideas as a bunch of other people. I also, despite how my brain kind of does get consumed by things, and I do have a lot of brain rot. If you want to hear us talking more about brain rot, you can check out this video that we did, this live stream where we talk about brain rot. And, you know, I always do like a main brain dump onto a Google Doc page. Here are some examples. And I just kind of vomit everything that I kind of think about the story and everything that I kind of want happening. And like, here's what the vibe is. Here's the aesthetic. Here are the themes that possibly could be explored. Here are the, you know, social hierarchies. Here are the characters. Here are some colors that I want to incorporate and some description and, you know, stuff like that. And maybe like what I want to happen. And that evolves over time. Like, these are not exactly, they are not at all like what the book ends up becoming. And so then once I feel like I've gathered enough of an image, enough of a shape of a book, then I transfer it into a Scrivener project. And I have a really decent memory, I would say. So it's not often that I forget that I have ideas. It's just sometimes, you know, ideas ebb and flow. You know, there's a lot of ideas that I want to write. I wish I could write multiple projects at once. I wish I could write like 7 books at once because I have so many book ideas in my head. And so I guess maybe doing like memory training to like help you remember that you have them, making like a Notion page. I also like having, you know, mood board pages on Canva. I have a ton of those. I also have a ton of Pinterest boards that I use. And then, you know, if I want to work on something, I can pull it up and, you know, just kind of keep building these books until I can move them to the front of the burner and I can start working on them. This is quite a chaotic way of doing things, and I am fully aware of that. I apologize if that does not sound like something you can implement. Idea generating, I like to explore Pinterest. I like to explore other books. You know, reading other things helps me kind of pull together what I'm trying to achieve in each of these. Watching movies, you know, reading my friends' novels, writing my own things, writing snippets really helps. Snippets really help me flesh out the world, flesh out the characters, flesh out the voice, flesh out, you know, what, you know, maybe I'm trying to achieve with each book. So yeah, that's kind of my process when it comes to juggling multiple writing projects. You know, I have spreadsheets, I have Google Docs, I have Notion pages, I have Scrivener files, I have notes on my phone, I have pretty much everything everywhere. I hope that's in some way helpful. I do really apologize if it's not. That's just my process, and it's messy and complicated, and I know it in my brain. Like, in my head, I got it all up here, not necessarily in a cohesive manner, but I do my best. So our next question is actually related to the coaxing yourself to write is, do you always have motivation to write? How do you cultivate consistency when motivation and ideas are low? I have a similar answer to the coaxing yourself to write. I think having a routine really works for me personally. I have sprints that I do with my friends. I have the Wednesday streams that I do. I also, now that I have an agent, I have deadlines for things. I love a deadline. And I also think I'm just really a very highly driven, highly motivated person. So there isn't a ton of barrier to me writing, but actually there has been a little bit recently, and apologies while I move stuff around, but I've started keeping a journal for kind of my author process, but I wanted to read this small passage basically talking kind of about motivation and the way that motivation, my loss of motivation, is more related to my confidence than it is to actual motivation, because I always want to write. It's just a process of figuring out what to write and how to write it and getting over my own perfectionist brain. As usual, I'm struggling with my fear of running out of time. I feel like I've ruined some sort of momentum I had before. The more I take breaks, the less I write. The less I write, the less confident I am. Less confidence means even less writing. I haven't drafted a book since Invisible String. I know I've revised and rewritten so many times, but it just isn't the same. So Wallace and I decided to fast draft our silly novels, which mine is one of the Sapphic Werewolf books. Once again, I'm struggling to commit to a project, even one I am excited about. It all comes back to not having a lot of confidence and fearing anything less than perfect, which nothing is perfect. Perfection is boring and overrated. Still, I feel as though I'm missing a crucial piece of myself. For now, I will push through and work the writing muscle until I trust myself again. Just goes to show that imposter syndrome still strikes. Although this feels less like imposter syndrome and more like I'm out of practice, but we move. And so that is what I was feeling the other day. And so I wrote about it, and then I pushed through, and the next day after that, which was yesterday at the time of filming this, last night I really felt as if I hit a groove with my writing. It still isn't great and I want to edit, but I started to see the scene I was writing in my head. And so yeah, pushing through really helped me kind of try to regain some of my confidence, because I do kind of wonder sometimes if my lack of motivation is less motivation related and more confidence related. So if you're dealing with low confidence, I think pushing through is something to do. I also think, talking to a trusted friend and being like, hey, can you read this? And I'm not really feeling confidence, maybe don't critique it to death, maybe tell me what you do like so that I can focus on that. I know that's hard to do, and I know it's not always effective. It's not always what you can't always trust, you can't always internalize their feedback, but it could help. I think also if you're struggling with motivation, maybe switching projects for a week, being like, I'm just gonna put this project away for a week, work on something else, kind of get my mojo back, and then maybe by the time the week is up, I'll want to work on that other project again, and then coming back to it with fresher eyes, seeing the potential in it could be helpful.
What's something in your story that you did not expect to show up at all, but when it did, you got surprisingly passionate / excited about it?
So I've been thinking a lot about this question, and I could think of something from the Wrath King, because that's one of the last books that I truly pantsed, that I can remember a bunch of stuff in it that was surprising to me. But I think I'm actually gonna go with what I'm fast drafting right now, which is one of my Sapphic Werewolf books, which is held together with 3 plot points, hot glue, and a dream, as well as some moments that I want to have in the book, which does not a plot make. One of the things that kind of surprised me is I always had the opening image of this book, which is one of our main characters is attacked. She's a prima ballerina. She's on her way home from the theater, and she's attacked, and she's saved by her eventual love interest, who is our werewolf character of Sapphic Werewolf. I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that the werewolf character had kind of a tragic backstory, but as I was going about writing this scene, and of course the ballerina character is you saved my life, you got shot and stabbed on my behalf, I'm gonna save you, I know a vet. They take her up to her apartment. Basically the werewolf is you shouldn't have done that was not necessary. I heal really fast, and so the scratch that's above her eye and the bullet wound in her leg is miraculously healed, except the stab wound on her side does not start. And so she's like, oh fuck, this is really unusual for me. And I decided basically that she was experimented on as a kid. She is Bucky Barnes coded, and she is kind of super soldier adjacent, and so she heals really fast. And so I was like, okay, well, why would this wound not heal, and what would be the point of it? And so I started to come up with kind of this plot line. Human serial killer is going around killing wolves, and using this new concoction of his or hers. I don't even know who the serial killer is yet, which is, this is a fast draft that's being pantsed, so all of this could change. But basically creates this thing that kills wolves really fast, but because of our werewolf Sutton's abilities, she is not killed. her body keeps healing it, and she gets weaker and weaker over time, and she has to find a cure for it, as well as find out who is murdering a whole bunch of werewolves in the city. So that's like kind of, I found the plot of the book, and it was really surprising because I just basically wrote, yeah, like everything's healing with that wound on her side, and it's like, well, that's weird. Why is that happening? And so it really surprised me. And then a secondary question to this is, what is your favorite way to surprise yourself while writing? And this is kind of just throwing stuff in, seeing what sticks, seeing what's good, seeing what's fun, seeing what I'm drawn to. I also, you know, like to consume content while I'm writing. I have a scene in my brain, like I start out that way and I don't know where it's kind of going. I just kind of go with what feels right. And, you know, I'll throw stuff in that's like deep in my subconscious, or maybe I saw a show that had this and so I added it. And I tend to surprise myself a lot, and it also definitely has put me into some holes before where the book is just incoherent at times and I have to like tether together the kind of incohesive random lines that I have and random references and take stuff out and put stuff in and make the book shape. I do love to surprise myself while writing and kind of just let my subconscious do the work, because I'm a very detailed writer. I am an overwriter. I like to write a lot of detail, I like to describe things in great detail, and so that is how I end up getting myself kind of either backed into corners or find my plot. So yes, those were all the questions that I had for writing, and now we're going to move on to my personal questions, questions you guys asked about me. So the first one is, what would you put into a time capsule to capture this time in your life? Honestly, I think this is hard because I don't like own, I mean, I own a lot of stuff, obviously. Look at how many books and stuff I own. But I don't have a ton of stuff that's like super sentimental or super like representative of this life. I guess if I could like put something in there later, it would be this journal that I'm like kind of working on that has all of my thoughts and feelings about like writing and publishing in it. But I think maybe an album of some kind, maybe a playlist. I make a Spotify playlist every single month for the songs that I'm listening to during that time. I don't really know what else I could put in that'd be super representative of this time period in my life. Next question is, what is your Myers-Briggs type? I think I'm an INFP. I think I'm an INFP. Creative and imaginative, they happily lose yourself and daydream, inventing all types of stories and conversations in their mind. Yeah, that sounds like my Cancer moon. I'll have to retake the quiz and tell you, but I'm pretty sure I'm an INFP. I was an INTJ for when I was in high school, but I don't think I am anymore. I'm either an INTJ or an INFP, and I'm not sure which one. I think I'm an INFP though. Let me know what your Myers-Briggs type is down below, which all I know is that I'm for sure an I. I think I got like a 99% on I, which is introverted, which yes, I know is ironic because I am a YouTuber. You know, I love being a part of a community, but the great thing about a community is you can just, you know, type messages. Next question is, would you ever dye your hair a different color? And if yes, what color? I definitely would. I used to be blonde. Here's a picture of me as a blonde. I also used to have like red and like magenta streaks at the end of my hair. I actually just got my hair cut, as I mentioned earlier, and I've had red hair since my freshman year of college, which was 2017. So 7 years I've been a redhead, and I've loved every minute of it. But if I did dye my hair a different color, I think I would go. I think if I didn't have to deal with it going green, like a putrid green, I'd do like dark emerald. I also know that in the winter time, I'm gonna go back to like a vibrant, like a cherry cola red, which. Maybe that's the answer. Cherry cola red. Next question is where's a place you'd like to travel that you haven't been to yet? There are so many. There's a lot of places in the world that I have not been. I think it'd be really cool to go to New Zealand or Australia. I don't know if I'd ever do the flight though. I'd also really like to go to Iceland. I think that'd be beautiful and amazing. And up north, maybe like Alaska to see like the Northern Lights and like all of the beautiful landscape. I have to go like, you know, on a very like pampered trip because I'm not an outdoors woman in the slightest. So, you know, it'd have to be like really, really luxury in order for me to do that. I'd love to go to London. I'd love to go to England, probably Brighton, if I had to pick like a specific place in England besides London. And finally, to segue us into the funny questions, is anything significant going on in your life right now? Double eyeball emoji. I don't know. Guess you'll just have to wait and find out. And finally, we have 2 funny questions to round out this edition of Katie does an indulgent Q&A for her YouTube anniversary, where the question is, if you wanted to learn to juggle, would you rather use tennis balls or tomatoes? And I feel like this is a very easy question. I feel like I'd rather use tennis balls because 1, I don't want to get tomato all over me because I'm not good at juggling and I wouldn't want to learn with tomatoes. And 2, what if I dropped my tomato son? And hurt him? Like, I wouldn't want to do that. I'll drop the tennis balls. They're disposable and don't have feelings, unlike tomatoes, as we all know. And finally, last but certainly not least, who is your favorite troublemaker and why is it me? And you know what, guys? You're right. You guys are so right. I am my own favorite troublemaker. And that is all for the questions this year. Thank you so much everyone who submitted a question, whether it was on my Instagram or my community tab. I really appreciate it because I love having questions. I love talking to you guys. This is such a fun video to make for me every single year. And now of course we've come to the mandatory mushy part of the video, where I would just like to thank each and every one of you who watches my videos, who has commented, who likes, who subscribes, who, you know, interacts with me anywhere on Instagram, on YouTube and stuff. I know that I have been kind of not making YouTube videos recently, but I have been trying to be more active on Instagram and in the Discord. And I set out to make a YouTube video 4 years ago because it was COVID. It was the deep in COVID. It was 2020. And I had just finished my second to last semester in college, and I was so just feeling trapped and like I had no one and very lonely. And creating this channel and making videos and interacting with you guys and literally having over 1,000 subscribers now is more than I could have ever asked for. I mean, like, I am 4 years in, I have an agent, I have a community, I have so many cool friends. I love being here, and thank you so much for being on this journey with me. I wouldn't be here without you guys, without your comments, without your love, without your support. You know, I probably would have given up. You know, there's I went back through my subscriptions a little while ago, and went on to a couple of author tubers that I was watching at the beginning of my author tube career, and all of their videos are gone. They've just deleted them and deleted their channel. And, you know, I have kept going through the hiatuses, through the thick, through the thin, through, you know, the writing slumps, through the whiplash of me picking different projects, through, you know, me working on a secret project that turned out to get me an agent. And yeah, I'm just thankful for you guys being here. Hey, yeah, this is my 4th year. I can't believe it. I literally looked back on the other videos that you know, my last three Q&As, and it's been really crazy and really good to like see just how much I've grown, how much I've changed as a person. And a large part of reason why I've changed and why I've grown and become who I am is because of you guys, because of YouTube. And so I really appreciate it. Yeah, that's the end of the mushy stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little journey. Hopefully I'll have more writing videos up for you soon. I have a plan. There may be a rebrand coming, kind of a rebrand, I don't know. Here's the thing, nobody knows what they're doing, and me included. I have no idea what's going on, except for my hair feels amazing, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.